All right, all right, all right. Hey, thanks for joining in with us today. We have Robyn, the garden mother, talking to us about what she does and how she makes Silicon Valley just a nicer little place to live. Robyn, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Vito. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to see you. You want to talk about what you do and maybe start with how we met, kind of.
Well, we had the lovely opportunity of meeting through good friends of ours um, on an Easter Sunday. So I think for the last 5 or 6 years, possibly longer,
Possibly
all
longer.
these people would come from these all walks of life that had touched the Swan family. And we were all invited to Easter. And the ones that had some food and brought it over and were available, we all rocked up, and that's how we met.
That's right. And every time we go out there, we get so full and so buzzily happy.
Well,
Right?
we just have amazing food, and it's just so nice to connect with everyone again, just to see people face to face and give them a hug. It was really really nice to see everyone and see
It
how
was
everyone's grown. Oh my goodness!
all the kids, definitely, right? Yeah. I mean,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, just been great. So grateful that we know, Kay and Harvey. They're just such amazing people. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, just they're such a huge, amazing influence on my life, because they've just always been there for us. And they're just such great people. And obviously, we get to meet amazing people like you, Robyn. So that's
Oh,
always a
thank you.
benefit.
Well, they've been our second parents because Adam and I both, our parents are both out of state and out of country. So it's lovely to spend time with them either over Thanksgiving if we're here or Christmas. And Easter, of course, is a lovely occasion just to get together and celebrate summer.
Absolutely. That's what's so great. And we live our life all based on trying to make our life better here in Silicon Valley, and we try to improve our community. And we do the bike thing at the end of the year. And I met Kay and Harvey from playing hockey with her boys, and too old to play hockey. Well, I'm not too old to play hockey, but I'm just too lazy to play hockey. And then there's just so many different things that we're doing to really try to make living here a better place, right? You always hear all the negative news and all the negative stuff. And when I heard about what you do, I thought, I really do want to share this with my audience. So
Oh, thank you.
I think that'd be a great segue to get you to open up and talk about your business.
Well, yeah, talk about my business, but I think I need to preface that with a little bit of an introduction about myself and where I'm from.
Who
I
are you?
do have one of those strange accents, and I usually ask people, guess. Obviously, it's like the third or fourth guess because no one guesses South Africa. So I am from South Africa, born and bred. And I just absolutely love the outdoors. I grew up on a farm about 30 minutes away from Johannesburg, which is the one of the biggest cities in South Africa. And I grew up on a farm, which was surrounded by a game reserve. And this farm was just magnificent. It had rolling hills and a little creek down below, and we had horses and all those wonderful things. So I was very, very blessed to grow up in that environment. Unfortunately, it was during the apartheid era, but um, I've learned from that as well, and really wanting to give back to our community and engage our community and make the community better. So I started working in tech in South Africa, and then I moved to the lovely Netherlands, and then to the UK, and then here to the US 17 years ago, and fell in love with my dream man. In each of those countries, I always had to have a space where I could be outdoors. South Africa is very much about the outdoors and being around family, friends, and enjoying the climate. Um, so it it was just a very appropriate place to move to. Um, the climate is so similar to South Africa here in California, but also we moved into a house which is a lovely mid-century modern Eichler in Sunnyvale, and it's floor to ceiling glass. So I've just had the opportunity to bring the outdoors in for the last 17 years and really evolve my outdoor space into something that's more usable and definitely more functional. And I'm sure we'll hear about those stories. So I worked in tech right up until the start of the pandemic, and was so lucky just to be able to have time off and be able to spend that with the family. Imagine trying to work full time and school a kid of 10 years old. No, thank you. So
Mhm.
very lucky. But of course, that opened up this whole lovely world of my fairy garden mother persona. So we say. I really got into the garden, got busy growing vegetables. I got certified in kitchen gardens, so as a garden coach. And then I've also been really helping people with their gardens. So some of our friends that we both know, I would work in their gardens before I started my business. And it's just always been my passion to be outside, to talk to plants, to discuss plants, to it just makes me a happy person. So I wanted to create this gardening business, but I'm also so aware of what's happening around our properties and our land and our vegetation, the drought that's here. I'm very aware of the things that really are hurting our planet, because we want to make sure that our next generation, we're creating a better world for the next generation, and of course for ourselves for the rest of our lives. So really started looking at practices that help fight climate change or help reduce waste. Um, so really bringing in some of those different aspects of gardening and zero waste, which has helped create my business. So in a lot of the things that I do, I focus on creating outdoor spaces. So I'm sure you're going to say, what is that, garden or landscape or whatever? It's kind of a different take on gardening. I am not a landscape architect. Those people are doing an amazing job, and they are very detailed. Those are the people to go to if you want a huge change done. I fit under the landscape architect. So once it's been landscaped, or a year or 2 years or 3 years down the line, when you need to update your watering and you need some new color or something different,
Oh,
because of the drought coming along, I'm the person to call.
right.
So I do small space updates, and I talk about it in different layers. And the first layer, of course, is your hardscapes. So you need to have a space where you can put your furniture or create your space. You've then got your greenery. Uh, but one thing I like adding to it then is looking at it from a sustainable perspective. So, really ensuring we're implementing sustainable best practices. But also, then I recommend furniture, accessories, really to help create more of a livable environment. So, I think that's something special that I do over and above architects. So, yeah,
And then,
that's my story.
yeah, and so with that, you really spend some time with the people before you design anything, right? You get to know them a little bit, but what their
Yes.
intentions are, right? What
Totally, totally. So depending on what the customer really wants, um, we do a range. So one of the bigger pieces of work that we do is a freshen up plan. So say 2 years down the line, you don't like some of the landscaping that you've done. You want to change things up in possibly 2 or 3 areas. You want to make it more livable, but you don't know what to do. You now maybe work from home and want to have a different space. um, what I do is then go out and we do a consult. And then if the customer wants to proceed, we do something called the freshen up plan, where we talk about what the person wants to do, what kind of style they're looking for. And then we go and say, okay, let's look at mood boards of what you want to do. We do basic measurements, and then we bring together this mood board of different things and colors. And if that person really likes that, we create the scope and the prices and where to buy it. And we deliver that as a freshen up plan. So, of course, the person can go and implement it themselves, or I can help them bring in a contractor to implement it, or myself. to implement different pieces of the work.
Right. And when we were talking about how you and I can work together to help my clients or my, the company that I work with, Compass,
Mm-hmm.
anybody that really needs it, would we be able to work with a program like that? Whether you're putting your house on the market or you're buying a house, you want to make your house uniquely yours, right? And I always joke that the first thing you want to do is replace your toilets. It's just one of those things, right? Because you want to
And
make it
maybe the shower head.
exactly. And then, once you settle in and you get relaxed, then we contact you and you're like, hey, let's talk about living outside a little bit, enjoying your outside and enjoying your and I've been in my house for 19 years. I've done my backyard 3 times. And that's the fun and joy of being a homeowner. Today I probably couldn't afford the time versus the cost to bring somebody on board. So, now actually we have some people working on the doors in my house. And, so I like what you have to offer because it's a full spectrum of what you
Mm-hmm.
can do to help people from uh, the touch ups, like you were mentioning, all the way up to a full, completely different backyard or front yard.
Right, right. It's well, specifically for your customers, both from a seller's perspective, if you want to zhilla up your property before you put it on the market and have your visits, we can offer containers and rentals of those containers. We can also do the basic mulch and planting, but then also for the buyers, they've bought this beautiful property and I'm sure they love 98% of it. And while they're busy actually getting used to their living environment and changing their toilets and all those kind of things, they may be looking for a container or a salad garden that they can put in their kitchen or in their dining room and really bring some greenery to their space as well as have it outdoors. So I'm going to just steer my camera a little bit over here. And you see,
Let me chop it up, crop it out to where I can get. There we go. Actually, I'm going to do yours. Huh.
so that is one of the swings that I absolutely adore. I brought it into our landscape, onto our patio. And then next to it is, of course, side tables, because you do need to have side tables. So how do you bring in that pop of color you can see with the orange? But sitting on top of the black one is a succulent garden made with plants that absorb twice as much CO2. So I would call those CO2 busters. And then the container on the orange table is a beautiful salad garden, a herb garden, where we've got basil, oregano, and a couple of other herbs in there, just to bring that greenery and add some greenery into your life.
Yeah, we do a lot of salads, and then we start taking the bottom part of like the lettuce and the onions, etc., and we plant them on the windowsill with great intention. And then typically they wind up dying because we don't have green thumbs. But it's always fun to do that kind of stuff, and that's it's beautiful to be able to see something grow with your own intention and see your backyard actually become part of who you are.
It's part of who you are, but they've actually shown studies that working in your garden really helps you. The microbes in the soil really help produce and enhance your serotonin and dopamine. So it's like having a little antidepressant in the soil. Um, Gardening is good for the planet. So ensuring that we have the right plants in our environment are either CO2 busters or they're natives where you do not have to water them as much. They become pollinators for our bees and our birds, which are so important to really be able to get those vegetables. And to your point as well, it's good for the community to really bring more greenery. You see a lot of community gardens. You see a lot of the farmers markets. how can we as a community really ensure that we are growing more greenery around, which is important. What's key, what you just said, Vito, around your windowsill. Gardening is a constant experiment. And that's one of the things that I believe I offer unique services is you might be sitting there with your wife and going, I wonder how we grow these. And you could pay me a coaching hour or a coaching session, and I can coach you. And I'd bring the soil over or whatever, and we'd plant them and we'd put them in the right place, and they grow.
I
So it's
so
really helping and getting that person to support you in your gardening journey. We don't just arrive and leave. We're talking about what is that outdoor space that you want to create to bring you that zen.
that Zen is exactly right. Right. We did this last year, I guess in March, we did the bubbly walk down in Willow Glen. And, I'm not drinking as much anymore, but the girls were, and they were having a good time. But I happened upon a table that there's a guy that harvests honey locally. And, I don't know if I'm sure you know this, but when you have honey from that's imported from wherever, whether it's Costa Rica or out of state, it's good honey. It's good for you. It has the antibiotic properties,
Mm-hmm.
etc. But when you harvest and eat honey that's local to where you live, it helps you with antihistamine, it helps you with
Huge.
allergies, it helps you with all sorts of stuff, and it's so good. And I have it in my coffee. I have a little quarter teaspoon or a half a teaspoon of it every day in my coffee, and it makes me feel a whole lot better knowing that I'm supporting local and I get some local honey that helps my allergies stay stabilized. So,
Exactly. And I think we really are in quite the hot topic. We're going into another year of drought. So with climate change, reducing our water, reducing our waste. Think about what are the 3 or 5 things that you can do to really contribute and help fight climate change. Because you really don't want 10% of people doing it absolutely perfect, but you want 90% of people at least doing 15% of what could be done to help contribute to those.
right. And it's like the 1% improvement. Every time you look at your
Right.
garden, do 1% improvement. Right. It's like, learning how to ice skate or drive. When I'm teaching my girls how to drive right now, it's like 1% improvement every time. Or I do video marketing and I have a business. So I teach my clients it's a 1% improvement. Every time you get out there, you get 1% better and you do it. Right. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
it has to be that passion. It has to be that drive for it. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Constant iteration, constant iteration. And what's so good is it's calming. It's beautiful to be outside. Getting your vitamin D, your natural vitamin D, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I do that when I go fly my drone.
Cool.
I walk my
That's awesome.
dogs. I walk my dogs, and now that the weather's better, I have my shorts on, so I'm definitely getting the farmer's tan on my arms and my
And I'm
legs.
sure you've seen some beautiful landscapes out there.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I've seen some, ones that need some work too. But that's the thing. Is like, you know, everybody wants to do it, but who has the drive or the time and the energy to do it? So
And that's
Rob,
where I think I can help. Vito, I fly in like the fairy garden mother, and based on what you want to do, we create magic and really bring in a more usable space no matter what you want to do. I mean, we have created a lot of working from home spaces, so having an outdoor desk outside. So at least then in the mornings you could work from your desk outside. So there definitely are these various options that you could do to really enhance your space.
yeah, I want to say 7 years ago, I was redoing my backyard. So I did pavers on half the back, put a pergola on top. And the day before I went in for my hernia operation, I finished up the entire pergola. I did the roofing on top, and then I was out for a couple, 3 weeks. And I love going out there. I go out there and I relax. And, um, sometimes I have the dog out there. My girls are supposed to pick it up, and girls, kids, they don't do the their chores when they're supposed to. But I go out there and I enjoy it. You know, I go out there for a half hour, 45 minutes, and then I get a little too warm because I'm right in the summer heat, and then I get out. Or if it's nice and cool out, it's just really nice to be outside. I do spend a lot of time here because this is my studio. This is where my office is and everything. And it's nice for me to be able to, you know, have everything centrally located. But it's nice just to get out, and the dogs will hang out with me and just relax. And they're so content when they're outside. And the kids don't go outside these days. So that's really good.
Yeah, it's good for us to be outside and try and get the kids outside. You know, hopefully you can instill some sort of gardening or going away from devices and electronics. So I am working with some youth at Animal Assisted Happiness in Sunnyvale around building more kitchen gardens and planting things, which is very important. And then also at elementary schools, I'm doing a couple of workshops where we're talking about recycling, reducing the waste. How do you reduce that waste, but then use that waste for better? Composting, I know some people go, oh my goodness, it smells. But let me tell you something, in that big yellow container behind me, that pop of yellow, is a composter in a flower bed. And it's busy creating compost that I use, and I reduce my waste. I believe I've reduced my waste by about 60% just by using that composter.
Yeah, I have. We have. So right at the start of COVID, the lockdown, we had a tree house in the backyards that the kids used when they were small, and they stopped using it because they're teenagers now. And I was like, hey, what if we got chickens? And like, oh yeah, chickens. That sounds like a great idea. So blah blah blah. And they created a plan. They put it on PowerPoint, and they presented it to us and how much money we're going to save making, you know, having chickens with the eggs. And you don't save money having chickens. I'll tell you that right now, because you have feed, you have the little pile, the pine shavings and everything. But what we did was we took the old, my dogs are going to bark. We took the old lumber from the tree house, broke it down, and then we reused it to build a chicken coop. And my girls made a plan. It wasn't perfect, and they had the power chop saw and the nailer, the framing nailer, and they did a lot of the work, right? And I made sure that they didn't
That's
chop
awesome.
their thumb off, because you know Jill would have killed me if they dropped their thumb off, and it would have been
Exactly.
my fault. So I was extra careful with that. But now they know how to do that stuff, and now they're like completely, totally. They love building stuff now. So now we have the chickens, and when we have leftover food, as long as there's no fat or animal fat in there, we let them enjoy it, and they love it. And you know, we're building a compost pile, and we're going to have that here pretty soon. I've built compost over and over again. I think this next time I know what I have to do is put dry and wet, layer it, and then churn it.
Well, your fairy godmother can come and help you. What I've got in there is called a sub pod, which holds quite a bit of capacity. There's different types of composting these days.
Right.
So whichever works for the family. I find it pretty interesting because, oh my goodness, those flowers are just going off because it's just such fertile soil.
Right. That's the thing, right? It's like you get that stuff from the store. Well, it's not super expensive, but it's added with other kinds of phosphors and all that other stuff that you have imported, and it's not that really good for your body or for the soil. Whereas you bring in this stuff, and it's stuff that you're eating, so it really just goes right back into the soil, and you're building, you know, vegetables and lettuce and etc. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is super exciting, Vito.
Yeah, totally nerded out there for a minute.
It's all good. I mean, these are fun experiments to do, and I just love doing experiments. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Like I mentioned earlier, South African plants survive really, really well here in this climate. A lot of plants that you see out there are South African. So there's a jade, there's the elephant bush. There's a couple of plants that all originated in South Africa.
Hmm.
So I've brought that South Africanism into a lot of my gardens as well, and give it a little bit of different twinge, you know.
Yeah. And what we have to remember is California is fairly arid, right? And most of it's desert, and we've tamed a lot of it. The fact that we have water here is a gift. The fact that we have arable soil that we can actually use, it's a gift, and we should use it, right? Because how much of our food is actually imported these days? It's crazy. It's a crazy amount.
It's crazy. And then those are creating greenhouse gases. So where that lettuce and your greenery is coming from, it's being picked. Yes, that's creating jobs, which is great. But then it takes days to get here. It's not fresh anymore. And have you actually tasted fresh salad greens that are not bought from the shops?
I can tell you that I love apples. I have an apple every day, and it pains me when I bite into a Fuji apple and it tastes like cardboard because it's just not ripe. It's been picked super green, and they're ripening it as it's traveling here, and it just doesn't have that same flavor as it did 10 or 15 years ago, right?
Exactly, exactly. So
Yeah.
yes, having more fruit trees and everything in your neighborhood is also important. You can share fruit with your neighbors.
Yep. And when the big zombie apocalypse happens, which I thought was going
Right?
to happen with COVID, you get your opportunity to trade and barter with your neighbors, and you become a better community. That's the whole thing, right?
I'm the basil and potato lady at the moment. So I've got about 60 basil plants and like 4 containers of potatoes that I'm busy growing. It's all part of the fun, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I keep looking at my fence over here. I need to plant some more vegetables over here, and then I have a big side yard with a big, huge wall, and I just want to terrace it up and do water plants. Water, I don't know what they call it, but
Ooh,
those
hydroponics.
hydroponic, yeah. And then but I have a friend who does it over in Palmia, and he has every plant that you can imagine growing, and it doesn't take a ton of sun, and they're very healthy plants, and they're very highly producing plants, all sorts of
Oh,
different kind of plants.
right, right. I mean, those are amazing plants as well. I mean, just all the greenery that's out there, it's unbelievable. And the hemp products that are so key. Um, Yeah, they are phenomenal plants. I also do vertical gardens as well.
Oh, good.
So some of the work I've done is vertical succulent gardens, so that you can add some fancy to the wall, or the vertical space, and be able to go up a little bit. Um, because of course, sometimes you don't have garden beds because you might have dogs or another purpose for it.
Or you let the chickens eat the bottom half, and you keep the top half, right? Keep the
There
squirrels
you
away.
go. There you go. The garden is important for chickens.
Mm-hmm. And they love it.
Hmm.
They love to eat. I mean, yeah, I swear they're omnivores. They will eat anything you put in front of them. So you have to be kind of careful what you put in front of them, because they will eat everything. They're crazy.
That they do. That they do.
And they're good composters too. I mean, they till up your soil. They'll eat
Hmm.
everything, but they'll till up your soil. They'll fertilize it for you. So, we don't have a problem with them.
And chickens is quite the thing these days. So yeah, my
Yeah.
husband said if I bring chickens in the house, it's divorce.
Just let me know. I'll hook
He's
you up.
like categorically divorce. Not
Uh,
even I'll think about it. Divorce.
yeah. Um, so we got a dog. We had one dog before. Now we have two dogs, and we had the second one because of COVID. And then we have We had six, and then now we have five because one died when it was very, very young. But it was good. It was a great project. It brought us together, and we became, closer family that way too. So, and they learned a skill. Their job was to take care of the chickens and put them away and feed them and water them, and um,
And how's
yeah,
that going?
yeah, they play Minecraft really well.
The chickens?
No, the
Yeah, I
15-year-old
can see.
twin girls.
I would be ended up working with the chickens all the time.
Yeah, they're cool chickens too. I don't touch them. I don't like getting anywhere near them. I look at them as when the zombie apocalypse happens. I tell this to my doctor too. When it happens, not if it happens, we have, a couple of days worth of chickens to eat. So there you go.
Perfect. We'll be popping over to your house.
There you go. Roasted chicken.
Exactly. I'll be bringing some veggies over.
Yeah. So is this a good time to segue to show us some of the before and after pictures?
Yes. So one of the things that I've been doing in this last year is also getting Green Gardener certified here in Santa Clara. So it's a 12-week course where they really look at what are the different things that you have to have in place in Santa Clara. But let's share some of the slides of what I've done. So my lovely business, I started that in January last year and have been having a lot of fun. A lot of these are South African flowers. So just with a little pizzazz in the logo. So this is the first garden, one of the first gardens I worked on. Our friends Sherilyn and Jeff had a front yard that had grass on it. I wouldn't say active grass, but what we managed to do was actually lift up that lawn, create a side path, as Jeff is quite the chef, so he needs to be able to move the garbages, but also grills and stuff from the side of the yard. And we converted it into a meadow type environment with drought tolerant plants. The watering definitely has been reduced. And of course, there's a beautiful big tree featured in it and really helping absorb those CO2s.
Yeah. It looks like the before picture looks like the after picture after my chickens get a hold of the grass.
There you go. That could be part of removing grass here. We can just put the chickens on it.
Yeah, they do an amazing job of dethatching, getting rid of nasty bugs. I mean, they're really healthy for the grass, and they fertilize it. The dogs get back to it. Yeah, so.
This is another landscape that I worked on, a backyard. So top left-hand corner is my friend during COVID, of course, got the outdoor office. What do we do now? So they had an existing patio, this outdoor office, and they wanted to bring in some fake lawn so that the kids can hang out on it. And around the corner is like a little golfing putt. And what we did is we created this lovely outdoor escape with more plants as well as solar lights. We decorated this whole tree with solar lights. And then create a little patio outside the office with a vertical garden. But then we also planted up the side gardens with more plants that would work better in that space.
And that planter box down below, that doesn't look like it gets full-time sun. Is that correct?
No, it's definitely shade. So we planted more coleuses, more shade plants. The bigger plant in the back is a type of banana plant, which really has beautiful purple leaves. So it could go up between the two windows.
Nice.
So yes, it is pretty much shade in the back there.
That's great. That's great. And what kind of tree is that? It looks like an elm?
It's a Japanese maple.
Maple.
We cleaned it up and then put solar lights all the way through it, which just made it really, really blissful. We discussed the table sets on the patio. Mm-hmm. I didn't put one of those pictures in, but I went with them where they went shopping. That's all part of a coaching package. You can arrange to go to the nursery. You could go and look at different things. So they're very much to help out with everything that needs to be done.
Well, that's fantastic. Oh, look at this. I think this is familiar to me a little bit.
So this is my front yard. So I moved here 17 years ago, and we had this beautiful front grass area with bushes at the back. We never used it. Adam wanted to keep it for our kid to kick the ball. 2017, we converted it into the bottom right. So what we did is we separated the front yard. So behind that fence is my actual little fairy garden. So that's where I do all my propagation. I've got all my containers. Maybe one day I'll take you behind that little fence to go see what's behind there. But what I've got here is very much a drought tolerant landscape, using the beautiful leucadendrum on the side here, and then aloes. They are also CO2 busters. And then the bird of paradise. I have a 17-foot metal container with birds of paradise in there. One, they're extremely drought tolerant, but they just have a magnificent view and beautiful flowers. And we do minimal watering out in the front.
That's great. And it's beautiful there. That looks great. It's like, we have dogs, and you mentioned the fact that you wanted you to kick the ball with the kids and all that. And, that's why I had grass in my backyard for so very long. And finally I gave up the ghost. And I was like, my kids don't care. They don't, if we're going to do it, we live 5 doors away from a park, a 25-acre park. If we wanted to go throw the ball or throw a Frisbee or play baseball, we just go do that. And we've done that. Right. And, our backyard really isn't wide enough for us to throw the ball without losing the ball in our fences, over the fences. So
I've done that pretty often.
It makes you good neighbors. Say, hey, can I?
Exactly. And then the dog's disappointed because you've thrown their ball over the fence. They're not happy.
Right.
Then during COVID, I had the opportunity to work at our swim and racket club. We call it the Hidden Gem in Silicon Valley. So we are in those 1960s Eichler mid-century modern properties. Our swim and racket club is across the road. And I became a board member, and I run our beautification committee, because I really wanted to bring it back to its 1960s, 70s look and feel, reduce the watering. People had not taken care of the garden. So how do we fix the garden? And the colors. If you look at the picture above on the left-hand side, personally, I think that's a cream cracker. Nothing stands out. It doesn't look like anything. What you'll see is how we converted it with pictures, plants, and color to really change the outdoor space and make it a more usable and visually appealing space. When I started working on this garden, we had an open list of about 28 memberships. We now have a wait list of over 100 members.
Wow. Good for you. And that picture, the right picture on the right, just makes that building look so much more new, right? And here's the thing. My house has that same color on the left, and it kills me that we have that color. And it's like primer beige, right? You have to put some color. You have to put some love and some attention into the building.
Totally.
That's awesome that you did that.
So here's before and after. So we have a swimming pool and a tennis court. So on the before, on the top was our tennis deck, and what we did is we painted that blue and we put some succulents on the fence. It was just a quick way to add some color. On the second picture where the kids' pool is, we've added a sitting area, and then of course we've brought in gray painting and our accent colors, which is navy blue and white, for February. And then of course the front, we changed the wall color, changed the plants, cut out watering. So we've really reduced our watering quite significantly. And then one of the things I do as a hobby is I really do small pieces as well. So I was telling you about the vertical garden. So down below is at the entrance of the club, I created this vertical garden with 5 different containers and a mounded garden down below that they can just add decor to. It just continues to live. We continue just to update with small plants, but it's not a huge maintenance. On the left-hand side, I also did those vertical containers. So it brings some sort of greenery to our club, and that's our lovely beautification committee that works with me on the gardens.
That's really just fun. I love the Dia del Muerte, and I know I
Yeah.
said it wrong, but it's just great because you probably did something with the for the holidays there, and had some people come around and made it more festive and enjoy the community, right?
Well, it creates more of a community. People see beauty and they sit. 4th of July, we had our first barbecue after COVID lockdown, and we put tablecloths on the table and we did these little decorations. It really was just so, it was great. It was really, really wonderful.
That's great. I really love that.
So yeah, that's some of the examples of the work I do. So very much from the bigger types of updates, front yards, backyards, but then also just minor tweaks and stuff. It's like I've got a blank space on my wall. I want to do something. What can I do? I'm always up for a challenge.
Yeah, I totally get that. And maybe in the next couple listings that we bring in, definitely for the next buyers that we bring in, I'll have you come over and do a consultation. And I think that's what you want to do is this is where we can actually ask people if they're interested to learn more, what can they do?
Yeah, definitely visit the website and reach out to me. My contact details are on there. I'm at A Fresh Start Gardens on Instagram and Facebook as well. Reach out to me via Vito. I do offer, I am offering Vito and his customers, of course, a free consult to really come stand out in your garden and your space and to talk about what you can do to really create just a beautiful, outdoor, usable, sustainable.
Sustainable, that's the thing, right? That's the big buzzword these days. I had it set up so that I had a little ticker symbol with your website on it. But so
Nice.
what is it? It's
A Fresh Start Gardens.
A Fresh Start Gardens, and I'll put that in all of all the copy areas, the description areas when we get there. So it doesn't look like you have it on that, but I do have. I'm going to actually do that.
Fantastic.
See if you go right there. There's a fresh start, and I was actually playing around with your website before we got on, and some really great stories, some really great blog posts there. And if you want to go take a closer look at some of the before and afters that Robyn's done, they're right here, and some really amazing work.
And need to load up more just from some of the other stuff we've done end of last year, beginning of this year. But yeah, really looking forward to a wonderful summer and educating people about these different things that we can be doing to be
Excellent.
good cubed, Vito.
I think what we need to do is maybe once a month or every couple of month, every 2 months or so, just pop on, just like what you're doing right now. And you can have like a how-to seminar with us so we can share that.
That would be great.
Help you promote your business, obviously, but also let people get some ideas on what's out there, what you can do, and spread the love, right?
Well, we can do what the Fairy Garden Mother is up to this month. What magic am I creating? And I can share. We can even go and visit on Animal Assisted Happiness Farm, where we're busy creating some beautiful spaces there. So yeah, we open for any conversations and all conversations. We have a ball and love getting up to no good in those outdoor spaces.
Hey, if we cause a little bit of chaos, at least you're live and we're having some fun at doing the same thing, right?
That's what life is about, Vito. It's part of my values. It's fun, happiness, gratitude, connecting.
And causing a little bit of mischief in the same time.
Good mischief. That's fun.
Yeah. Well, Robyn, this has been amazing. I've learned a lot. I'm really grateful for the time that you spent on the video with us today. And I hope if anybody's really interested in learning a little bit more, please give her a call. I think you'd be very, very happy with the results.
Well, excellent. Thanks so much, Vito. Really appreciate it and looking forward to working together.
Yeah, you bet. We'll see you on the next one, Robyn, and everybody out there, we'll see you out there.